Hi, welcome. I'm Beck. I'm a psychologist and I'm talking about authenticity today. And essentially, what is authenticity other than a frequency of self acceptance? Essentially, that if you were sitting in a deep authenticity, you were showing up in an authentic way, you would be showing up with all your parts. You would be showing up as an integrated person, a whole person. And this is where an interesting conversation opens up with boundaries and the idea of boundaries and the idea of the need to protect ourselves with boundaries. Because what happens when we show up as an authentic, integrated person, it generates a sense of safety through deep self-acceptance that invites a sense of co-regulation and a sense of calm in the person that you are engaging with that allows them to show up in the same way. So that if you are finding you're needing a lot of boundaries around toxic or manipulative behavior, manipulative in the sense that there is a particular strategy that person has used to get their needs met, that they are employing with you, that is leaving you feeling icky, that the answer to that could be, instead of putting in boundaries that leave you feeling restricted and restrained and that hard barrier, boundaries are great if they leave you feeling empowered. But if they leave you feeling, oh, just get away from me, I need to, no, don't speak to me at this time, don't do this, don't do that, and you're angry and resentful and holding on to that firm, pushing away energy, that will fuel the dynamic, or it can fuel the dynamic more, asking the person to up the game, so to speak, in their strategy or whatever is the technique that they use to try to control that situation. Letting go of the rope, essentially, in a game of tug of war, if you were to let go of the rope, and that is not condoning, allowing, passively going along with behavior, manipulative behavior. But what it is doing is going, I'm going to show up to this moment with all of me, and I'm going to, moment by moment, make the decision as to whether I will allow this interaction to continue or whether I won't. And that I would be fluid and free-flowing in the moment with enough of myself to have that fluidity available to me in any interaction, that boundaries become malleable. They're assessed in the moment, and there's a fluidity of thinking that allows reality to be perceived in real time. And what you're interfacing with is free of your projections, it's free of warped perception, because you've got enough psychological flexibility to constantly assess it, rather than putting in a boundary and then that's it, that's the boundary. Authenticity allows you enough permission to go, you know what, I trust myself and all the resources within me that I have available to me at any given time to navigate this. And the boundary might look like this one in one relationship and look like this in another. And that doesn't make me flaky or unstable or hypocritical. It makes me capable of assessing moment by moment what is right. And this is really helpful to apply in parenting decisions as well, because moment by moment, the needs and what the situation calls for is different. So rules are good and structure is great. However, interfacing moment by moment with whatever needs are arising allows an authenticity, an authentic connection with reality to really ground in. And so much of the time, any difficulties we're having, any perception or perceptual struggles, is it me? What did I do in that situation? And that lack of clarity, when you lose clarity around a boundary, it's because there's some block there in perception that's not allowing you to perceive the whole situation. And what do you need to be able to perceive the whole situation correctly? More of yourself to perceive it, more of you. And so while we're in resistance around parts of ourselves, especially if the resistance is in the form of rigid boundaries, there will be part of yourself that's protected by those rigid boundaries that you haven't integrated yet. While those rigid boundaries are our default, and then we leave it like that, and we never go back and have some self-awareness about why we've done that, it will stagnate into relationships that never feel like you can show up safely, that you can show up with all of yourself. So those boundaries, those rigid boundaries, are fine in the beginning when you're learning that the pendulum has to swing, right? So if you've been someone that hasn't had any boundaries, you're going to go into rigidity. You're going to go into those firm set boundaries. No. And then you'll come back after that process to an equilibrium where boundaries aren't so necessary, because you'll sink into a place of self-acceptance and authenticity, which is going to allow boundaries to surface naturally. We don't even have to call them boundaries. It's just moment by moment, yes, moment by moment, no, with an ease and a flow and a trust in self. And see how there's no protection from that place? You're not needing to protect your energy. You have a surplus. You're not needing to protect your time because you trust that it will flow where it needs to flow, and that you are capable of saying no when you need to in a way that just feels easy. What a relief. And if you were showing up to relationships with such ease and such authenticity, how would those people then be invited to interact with you? And then the need for boundaries and the need for those hard conversations, ironically, ends up falling away once you've got mastery over self, to an extent, not completely. But the angst is taken out of that, and wouldn't that be lovely?